this evening. Forever you will shine. Value. Value. Hey, where do we find value on a new car? What's the value of that? What's that do for a client? What a lot of times, you get a lot of people say it's a new car and they don't need it. Do you get more people do that than anything?
You get a ton of people like that.
And then do you have clients that you see regularly and then they show up 1 to 3 years later with that new car they didn't put anything on?
Or the one that had the paint protection that they never told it never needed to be waxed.
Yeah, or never washed regularly. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, typically that's what they do. So that's I had a feeling once I got going through the IDA with different members and you start talking to people, that's just a human nature thing of what most people do that buy a new car.
Right.
If they don't do something, if they don't get hooked into something at the dealership, more than half will do nothing until it looks like something other than they remember purchasing.
Exactly.
And then they show up.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is.
So that's really a good thing for us.
Mm-hmm.
Good thing for us. So they find value once it starts looking a little bit different than new.
Right.
You know. But I still do the value. Even people that do it, I actually give them, it's almost like a scolding. and I'll tell them, say, get that new car. And I have it right now tonight. I have an 04 Mustang sitting in my shop that'll be picked up tomorrow. In 2004, the first week of ownership, I polished and polymered that car.
No kidding.
I've seen that car every 3 months since 2004. Last year, yes, he's on my program. He has never missed an appointment. We are now on a 4-month schedule, and that's due to the fact that he just retired this year and my winter schedule, 4 months of work. This car has never been in the garage. It is a gray silver metallic. And he goes through the Uncasville Quick Lube and Car Wash faithfully every week, whether it needs it or not. And he gets on the highway and he drives about 3 or 4 miles, probably at speed limit. Gets off the exit, makes a left, drives about a half a mile, and he's home and he parks it in his driveway. And he doesn't dry it or anything. And this looks like brand new.
No kidding.
He's got good habits inside. It's just him, his wife once in a while. But it's a daily driver. Now, he doesn't have a lot of miles. He's pretty basic guy. You know, he just drove it to work and where he had to go 155,000 miles on a 2004 Mustang. It looks and feels like new. The only thing we've been battling the last 2 years is one of the headlights.
Yeah.
It just won't hold, and that's because it's not the factory. The factory one is just kind of cracked around the edge, about half of the edge towards the top and the side. The other one is because the other one got damaged at some point, and it won't never hold a headlight correction.
Gotcha.
It's an aftermarket piece of junk.
Yeah, and that side also probably gets more sun during the day, I would assume.
Yeah. More
susceptible to sunlight.
So you talk about value. I mean, in the course of the year, the guy with the Mustang has averaged about $600 a year. So if you say value, and the car always looks like new. He puts $14 in the car wash meter.
Yeah. For $600 a year, still has a new car.
Yeah. And that's whatever his car wash is. I'm just calling he comes to us. Yeah. $600 a year. This car never changed.
Yeah.
Never changed.
Incredible.
There's not too many little blemishes or spots on it. Anything that ever happened to it in between that could come out, I took it out very carefully, but it was always well protected.
Sure.
And you have to go searching for any defects on this car whatsoever.
Because it was protected.
Because it was protected and because it was washed.
Yeah.
And so this guy gets a lot of value. The older it gets, the more he likes the car.
Sure.
Because now it's just cool.
Yeah. And nobody else has one in that kind of condition.
No. And it's I think the 15th anniversary or 50th anniversary edition.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can always get a lot of that money back.
So there's value when you take a new car, and it was factored into the budget, and that's for listeners, that's what they should do. If you want it to look nice and enjoy it, and
Yeah.
if you care about that. If you don't, then there's no value there for you. That's fine. There's other places for people that are going to notch down. That's why there's so many choices.
Yeah. It's no different than people working out their budget when they purchase a vehicle to have the oil changed every 3 months, or the tune-ups that are going to come, or which is rare these days. But you get my point. It's the same thing. I think a lot of people just don't think to factor the detailing part of it in.
Yeah, the maintenance factor.
Sure.
I encourage people to do it. I said, think of your car just like your house. It's the most expensive and second most expensive thing you do. And if you care about it, and this is talking to the people that, they care about and they want to do it. So the limited people that we service regularly,
yeah,
there's a lot of value. And the other thing where people are finding value, it's not just the look of that. If we're doing it, we're saving their time. They value their time.
Right.
So they're willing to trade, paying for our services for time for something else that they would like to do.
Yeah, makes sense.
So it's a lot of people do that all over. Value now, when you talk about value, get away from a new car, think about a used car. Okay. So that car that did get 3, 5, 7, 10 years down the road. And now think of the cost of cars today.
Oof. It's changed. The used car market has changed tremendously in the last 5 years.
Yeah, and think of that, like when a car is new, the average cost of that car now is about $34,000.
Right.
For a sedan or midsize SUV, but people are spending an average of $34,000. So now when you've got a used car and you've been driving that car, or say maybe you've got your deal on that used car, the value of detailing really does bring out the value. How many times have you done a car when you figure, okay, here's a used car that's still worth $25,000?
Yeah.
Off of that 34,000, say it was 3 years old.
Yeah.
But the car only got washed when the seasons changed.
Yeah.
Okay. And the inside got vacuumed the same when the seasons changed, or something happened. They attempted to, clean it up. And so this building, and then the use, it builds. And so now this person wants to sell this car.
Right.
And selling it outright. So now what typically happens is, where a car and you look and that's in good condition should be worth maybe that 25,000 has shaved. It realistically does shave a couple to 5,000 depending on the model.
Absolutely.
But $2,000 if you just took your $30,000 Toyota, $2,000. So you can drop $550, $750 on a detail.
Yep.
And actually bring the value of that car
back the value.
By $2,000 on the resale value.
Yeah.
Because the clients are buying with their eyes. So though the detailing price can look expensive to some, and and people that understand value of detailing and are more informed of actually the business that they're going to a professional that'll deliver that value.
Right.
And understands which buttons to push too.
Yeah.
That's the big key too of having a professional that's understanding it. And they don't necessarily have to be a car guy. They just have to understand value.
That's exactly it.
And a good professional detailer will understand value. And it's always advised to seek them out because they will bring it out. We did it with a BMW last year.
Oh, what? Oh, BMW.
Yeah. A BMW last year where the value of that used should have been 14.5, 16.5, but this thing was really beat. It's actually Kevin did it, the red one. It's the red BMW with the paint protection film that was all hosed up and cut and ripping off and faded, and the car, it
Oh,
was in
wow.
really bad shape inside and out. And we actually, they went overboard. I tried to talk them back, but they went with a paint correction, ceramic coating. I restored all the black trim and everything on it. I shot all that black trim on it with black paint. So it
Oh, wow.
permanent. And we did the interior. Now they spent quite a bit of money, but that BMW was only worth 6.5, 8.5. The way it was sitting, nobody would. I mean, it had the dog in it, had the beach in it. It was bad, and that is on our website. And that thing came out looking like brand spanking new.
No kidding.
And it was an expensive detail. It was up there. It was way up there. But the value of that vehicle came back into that
That's right.
14, 16.
Yeah.
You know, and so yeah, it was in that really high range, and
detailing will increase the value of a vehicle.
And we're talking that $2,000 range, and they weren't selling it; they just wanted it to look like new again. I think it was one of those. It was one of the classics. Here's value play. It was the wife's car, and the wife may have said, "Honey, I'd like to get a new BMW." And then it was like, yeah, but that BMW that's sitting there is a 50, 60 something
That's right.
$1,000.
Yeah. That happened. You know, that happened. That happens every day.
And it's like, well, and they came down here. There was one of these, they drove like an hour and 15 minutes to come here. And we went through the whole consultation.
Yeah.
And I says, it's going to be some work. There was some open pricing on it, but it did come out like new. And he didn't, and he didn't buy a new BMW. He did for,
right. I was going to say,
for just a little north of a couple grand.
Yeah.
And if they were to sell that, he went from 6.5, 8.5 of value to 14.5, 16.5.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You spend that kind of money on a high-end detail, you're rarely going to lose if you decide to sell that car. Rarely.
Yeah, it was on the right car. Now, if you were doing that on a Camry, that would be a mistake.
Yeah. Chevy Cobalt, nah.
Yeah, if you're doing if you're doing that on a car that holds a lot of value, has a lot of popularity,
yeah,
it does make sense. It's like to say a gold coin, that's expensive. It is. It's over $2,000 to buy a gold coin today.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it has value.
That's right.
Now the market can decide, right? That could go down. The market could decide on that BMW. They could turn on a favor.
Yeah.
I remember when Volvo was all the rage. The 90s,
yeah.
Volvo was all the rage in the 90s.
Yeah, it was.
Now it's Audi. Oh, that's our car, Audi. That's the most popular high-end car we do here, Audi. And
is it really?
Yeah, Audi. Connecticut loves Audi. They're in love with Audis.
Wow.
Yeah, they're in love with Audis. I'd do more Audis than you could shake a stick at. I could try to taking pictures of them.
Huh.
Yeah.
Would have never guessed that. I would have never guessed that.
Yeah.
We rarely ever see them here.
See, at Tennessee, what's the most popular car? See, that's where your clients there see value. What's the most popular thing where the people down in Tennessee see value?
I see a lot of vets and a lot of challengers.
Okay. There's a lot of challengers up here. I see some.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of value. The Audi people love to come here and get their car detailed. And the other thing too is then they all tell each other. I've got some great Audi client owners.
They all network.
That's some of it too.
Yeah.
That's some of it. So there's, that's where people see value, in Tennessee. It's like, hey, they see value in a lot of it. I used to see a lot of vets one time. I don't see so many now. I haven't seen one all year. I haven't seen a vet all year. No, I haven't seen a vet all year.
Interesting.
So I used to see a lot of vets, so.
Still everyone's dream car. Everyone I talk to, it's still their dream car.
Markets change.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, a lot, guys too, funny thing about a vet. I'll tell a funny vet story. So, guys get in their 50s, 60s, and, maybe they, life is, they're looking close to retirement. and things had worked out. You know, their plans for the most part is coming together. The kids are gone, and they're like, yeah, I always wanted to get a vet.
True. All the
car.
baby boomers.
Or a Porsche or something like that. But they get these sports cars, these low sports cars. That's the most popular one. And they get this car. And their adrenaline's flowing. They can't wait because they can afford it and everything. Some of them go out and they pay cash for it and everything. They're all proud. They're going to get a vet and go driving. And I'm all happy for them. They go out, they get in it, the adrenaline's pumping, they test drive it in a lot and everything. They buy the car and the adrenaline's still pumping for at least a week.
Yeah.
And then half or more of them realize that they can't get out of the car.
Yeah.
And they got to sell it.
That's a fact. I can't get out of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to do like the 2-arm leg pull one at a time. Get out of the car.
I have a little trouble sometimes getting out of them. You know?
Yeah.
And
that is so true, man. That's funny.
Funny, and that's like because I'll see him like the next time. So what happened to the vet? Just like I couldn't get out of it.
Excuse me.
And
then they decided to trade it in for like a 3/4 ton Chevy that has a 6-inch lift. They're like, oh, that's better. You know?
Yeah, they do something like that, or they go to an Audi. You see an Audi, you can get out of
the Audi again.
You can get out of the Audi.
Yeah.
But you talk about a Porsche or a Vet or any of them drag-assing cars.
I would not own one personally.
The dudes with sore hips and knees ain't getting out.
Yeah,
and they get rid of them.
You're right.
Yeah. So any of you guys out there that are thinking about that, I can save you a lot of grief. That's value.
Yeah.
Don't buy a ground ass hugging car. Go test drive it and have a ball. Go rent one and give it back. And give it back.
Get it out of your system and be done with it.
Yeah, and go get an Audi.
I
know how to do those.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
So, yeah, that's a true story. A true story. So I knew not to get excited and buy a sports car. I'm not a sports car guy anyway.
Neither am I.
I'm a
I never have been. Even when I first started driving, and even my early 20s, I had no interest in them. I just didn't. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd love to work on them. And, you know, I'm fascinated with the appearance and some of the features. But as far as owning one, I have no desire.
Yeah, I'm kind of, as far as a car owner, I'm really a hillbilly. I had one car in my whole life that was mine. Now we had cars because my wife had a car.
Yeah.
You know, wife liked a car until she found out the Blazers were cool.
Yeah.
But I had a Mustang 2, a 1976 Mustang 2 when they ruined the Mustang. But I had one in 70s. That was the only car I ever had. I had the hatchback. It was a cool looking car, but it was a Mustang. So, but it was cool though. It was mine. But after that, all I ever had was a pickup truck. I had a 71 Chevy pickup truck. I had an 80 Dodge pickup truck.
Yeah.
I had a Chevy Avalanche pickup truck. And then I had a van. And then I got vans. I always liked vans. I got a 95 Aerostar.
The Aerostar.
That's a beauty. You got to see
Big
that
pimpin'.
one.
Big
A lot of
pimpin'
value. A lot of value there, man.
A lot of value.
You got it. You better believe there's about $10,000 worth of mechanical value on that because I work at home, and other than going to grab groceries and farmers markets and
don't drive it.
That no, it's highway miles are on that. We're gonna get in that and buzz 92 miles to go see my daughter or something. Unless it's real hot, we're taking the big white van because it's got some awesome air conditioning.
Right.
Yeah. And that one's got half-ass air conditioning, and the front windows don't go down. We wired them up.
Oh.
Yeah. We're not buying the motors for those and putting them in.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The
motor died. We just wired the windows shut. Too bad. The sliders in the back open up, and we got air.
There you go.
It's a real hillbilly rig, let me tell you.
Whatever. Hey, man, if it runs and drives,
it drives really good.
Yeah.
Really good. And then we got the big white van. So all I've ever really owned in my adult life is vans since I
Trucks
was
and vans.
20 years old, trucks and vans. I'm a hillbilly. Because if you can't put nothing in it or make money with it, I don't see any value.
Yeah, you would fit right in here, Joe.
Yeah, I rent cars. I like sports cars. I like to rent the car and drive the hell out of it and give it back.
Yeah.
But
Then you're not losing value.
Yeah. I'm not losing value.
Yeah.
And if I buy a classic car, I'm going to buy one you can drop the ice cream in it.
Yeah.
Mechanical build with the primer paint or all the faded paint off of it,
Right.
Or they sanded it down to the rustic look. One of those.
Yeah.
I want foam on the seats and stuff. I want a whole seat.
Of course.
I want in the seat.
You want luxury. Don't give that up.
But just, I would do something like that. So more basic. But once again, it would probably be like a pickup truck.
Yeah.
Something in the 30s, a Ford or a Chevy. I don't care which one. Or something in the 50s, a Ford or a Chevy. That would be me.
Yeah. Just drive it.
And that's where value is. Where's another place to get value? Hey, let's say your car is only worth not more than $5,000. Somebody gave it to you. Or maybe that was all you can afford. Or maybe things got a little out of hand. And now you got a new job and you got to have a client in the car every once in a while. Or whatever. You've got to be presentable. Now you come in and where's the value? Well, sometimes some people don't see any value in putting any money. So, well, the car's only worth this. It's not worth a lot. Why even spend $200 or $300 any money inside or on that car? Because it's not worth it. But there is a value because you'll feel good.
That's right.
You feel like you're sitting in something clean and comfortable.
I was going to say you'll feel clean.
Yeah. Your self-esteem will feel really good. And that's what people get out of that. People that see value. Yeah, it's an old car, but I want it clean. And, I don't want to be embarrassed when somebody gets in it.
Exactly.
Or it smells like smoke or it had an odor.
Yeah.
I don't want to breathe bad air.
Yeah.
So I want to clean that out.
Or there's pet hair everywhere.
It's very simple to have a car that isn't even worth much. You can have a car that's worth $1,000, but if it runs good, because I've had cars like that, car's only worth $1,000 if the van's like that. Yeah. My van, $1,000.
The majority of vehicles out there, I don't care how old they are, how many miles they have. If you're willing to have a professional get a hold of it for a day, it will make a difference. Any car, I'd say 99.9% of vehicles on the road, no matter how old or how expensive, we can always get them to at least being more than presentable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. You clean it out. It feels good. It's actually, honestly, I tell a lot of guys, actually the young guys, I tip them off on this. They're debating on where they want to spend the money. I said, you married? Yeah. I said, clean the interior. Your wife will appreciate it.
Yeah, for real. It's true. Yeah.
Because that's what women appreciate. They just like the outside to look clean and presentable.
Dress the tires.
Protection. Some do really get it buffed or something. But for the most part, the women clients that come to our shop, they care a lot about the interior being done really well. Here. And unless the outside is all jerked up, and I think it probably is a woman thing because it makes sense. It's where you live.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
so
the practicality of a woman. Let's clean up the inside where we live and make this nice and so if you're talking about budgets, and that's where do you see value?
Yep.
Think about when somebody buys a house, value. Some people go in, and the first thing they do is they do the whole outside of the house. They doing the hedges and the flower gardens and all this stuff and
presentation
all dialed up. But you live inside.
Yeah.
But you live inside, so it's a matter of you want it to look nice. Hey, we moved into the neighborhood. We're going to make a nice show of it. There you are.
Yeah.
Create some value on the street.
That's right.
And give some curb appeal.
That's right.
So value, another thing than scratch. How many scratches have you fixed?
Oh my gosh. probably thousands, hundreds at least, if not thousands.
Yeah. And that one scratch in the right area on a car can take how much money off of it depending on the car and the location?
A lot.
A lot. It's real
Yeah.
easy. It's real easy. You know, you get a scratch about yay long, like the one we fixed on Kevin's car. Kevin's in the background. Kevin remembers his scratch on the door, looked like a light heat scratch.
On the Honda?
Yeah. Yep. And good 4 inches, maybe a little longer, but good 4 inches long. And that was to fix that. That's $800,000 at a body shop. It's easy that, you know, $600-800 would be deducted from the car if you're selling it. You know,
easy.
It's a newer car. I think it was a 2016, something like that. At the time, and so it was a year and a half or so back that we fixed it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it takes the value right off of the car.
It does.
So that's where you create a lot of value. So to spend 50 or 100 or whatever it is and fix those scratches up adds value back to the car.
Yeah.
So these are things.
How many times have you detailed a vehicle when people say, you know, I'm willing to spend $300, $400, $500, $600 just to get this thing really clean. Doesn't have to be showroom, but just really clean, so we can sell it. We want to get our money. We're going to get as much money back on our investment as we can.
Yep.
When they pick it up, they go, I don't even want to sell it now.
Yep.
Have you ever had that?
A lot.
I get it all the time. All the time. We were going to trade it. No, I don't think we're going to trade it now. We were going to sell it. I don't think I'm going to sell it now. The thing looks almost brand new.
Over 32 years, that has probably happened hundreds of times.
Yeah.
Happens a lot.
Yes. All the time.
Because they're buying something because it looks bad and they just want to, they don't realize how much we can do.
That was going to be my next statement. They don't understand our skill level. You know, a pro detailer skill level. You know, how good we can really get their paint restored, or how good we can really get their interior restored. They don't understand, because a lot of people out there have just never had it done, or, you know, they'll go to your, no disrespect intended, but they'll go to a $50 detail shop and get $50 worth of detailing. And yeah, so
I guess the way to put that is there's a fair amount of people that have had a fair amount of bad experiences.
Absolutely.
And so then they come back and then they'll be a little skeptical, you know, depending how bad that experience was.
Yeah.
You know, and then how they read, because they'll, you know, they'll look at your business and they'll go like, well, you do this, this, and this, and they're just checking, you know, because, you know, maybe they really got hoodwinked.
Right.
You know, and it's real easy to tell, though, when you walk to any business, I don't care if it wasn't a detail shop, man. If you walked into somebody's restaurant,
yeah,
you get an idea in a sense how things
are going to
be.
Yeah,
you know, sometimes you get surprised. You're going, whoa, that wasn't like that, you know?
Yeah.
You know, now and then that happens. But for the most part, you get an idea how things are going to be.
That's right.
You know, in order. So you go into a shop, you see equipment, you see the place is busy. They can't get you in right tomorrow or this week.
Yeah.
So that says something about what's going on there.
Sure.
You know, so that's value creation, because finding the right shop, making sure that they do everything on the list that was talked about.
Yeah.
That's real important, because there's a lot of ways to hide it for the short term, but in the long term, after 3 days, a client will see that detail. After 3 days, they've seen it in different lights, different angles.
That's right.
And they've sat in traffic and been like, oh, looking over the interior, feeling things.
Yeah.
You know, they've just spent some good money on that. And that's when they notice the value.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny you brought that up. Usually we try 72 hours after every customer leaves our shop getting any type of service. We always try to do a follow-up call 72 hours So they after the service. So that way we know. Chances are they have seen it in all lights and every angle, and they've had time to, they've spent time in the vehicle to know, how everything looks and all that. So it's just funny you brought that up because that's when we like to do our follow-up calls 72 hours after the service.
Yeah, and that's a lot of value. That's a big way to say, hey, I care.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a big way.
And stuff happens, but rarely. But I mean, stuff does happen. We're human, and I always, we always tell everyone we don't miss a lot, but I'd be a liar to say I never have. So that's why we do the follow-up.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, but nobody's going to have everything perfect. No, look, nobody ever made. If you never made a mistake, you never did anything.
That's right.
We all make mistakes. That's part of being human.
That's
why we're goofballs. Goofball humans.
Exactly.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great touch. We send out a postcard. We send out a thank you, and
nice.
We don't get into all the phone calls. It's just kind of the way we run things in the.
That's okay.
Time in the shop, yeah. So there was a time we did that. We did that years and years ago, but the way we run it. But we send out the thank you cards and the reminders and all that good stuff.
That's so good.
And just keep it all moving along. But yeah, I mean, in detailing for the folks listening out there, when you get your car truly professionally detailed, that detail, and when you have a professional, they're going to understand, where to pull the trigger, what works, what doesn't work. Or like today, I had a guy come down. He had an older Volvo, and he likes it because it's a beast. And he's putting a brand new motor in this Volvo. It's like a 12-year-old Volvo or whatever. But he says next week he's going to put not a brand new, but a rebuild.
Yeah.
Brand new rebuild inside this car. And he wants to drive it because it's a tank and he really likes it and it's safe. So he finds a lot of value in the body and chassis and safety of this Volvo. And they are. Those things are a beast.
They are.
The X90s,
yeah,
they're a beast. And, he wants us to do it up, clean it real good inside. So we'll go all the way and get it real clean and sanitary inside. It needs some work. But the outside, the moldings are black and they're all waxed out.
Yeah.
They're all waxed out. So we have two options, to fix those.
Yeah.
And he went with the permanent option. I said, I told him to give it thought. He's valuing the permanent option. Spray all the moldings. All the black moldings on the Volvo, and because they're all waxed up. Because the other solution is only going to last 6 months.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
That's it.
Hit it with some solution finish. It's a great product, right?
Great product. Well, sometimes I've seen it last a lot longer at times.
Oh yeah, it'll last longer. But when you're talking about covering up something that's beat, as long as it adheres, as long as that plastic hasn't worn out to where because sometimes it's worn and the product won't stick.
Right.
The plastic's just gone. But when that product sticks, 6 months all day long, even on the beat up with the wax on it, it covers that right over.
Yeah.
And usually what I do with clients like that, and if he still opts that way, he'll have me do the initial application because it'll probably take a couple hours to actually do it and do it well. With all that, there's a lot of trim on that.
Yeah, but appearance-wise, that is a huge game changer.
Yeah, and that's what I gave him. I says, if we do that, if I just decontaminate it, and I just give it a sealant over, so I just give it some shine, because it's got scratches and all that buffing doesn't really matter. I said, we could come back at a later date, and we're trying to maintain some kind of budget. If you want, we can get touch-up paint and fill it, but we don't want to get crazy on buffing the thing out. I don't think that makes sense. But if we clean it up, that mold, that trim, and we get that iron, those wheels can get on those Volvo wagons. Yeah, they're pretty ugly. They're orange and black.
Yeah.
So we get those cleaned out on it. Wheels, windows, glass, trim. Come on, man. Car looks clean. You look there at 6 feet, go, wow, it looks nice.
Yep.
And it's everything. It'll stand up. So that's the way I gated it. And he saw the value in that. And we were able to keep all the budgets together.
Yeah. And it looks good. That looks good.
And what we do to create more value with that is I usually turn the people onto the product too. Because when they have that, they don't need to race back here in 6 months or 8 months or next year. Because
Exactly.
it's going to wear down. I just turn them onto the product. And I said, here, if you wipe this and touch it up in the bad areas or something starts showing or you want to do, it's not going to take you very long. You can touch it up. And I just turn them onto a bottle. I just get them a bottle or I tell them where to go get it.
Yeah.
Line, and then they just keep it. And then they can just keep it. It takes them a few minutes.
Yeah.
Once it's done, that's the beauty of that product that Chris developed is that it only takes a few minutes once initially you fix some damaged molding.
That's right.
Minutes of your time.
Good product. Yeah.
Yeah, great product actually. So thanks, Chris, for making that. So and then the other one is just paint it, and that's permanent.
Yeah.
So and then we're gonna do the headlights. That's the other thing we forgot. The headlights are bad, so
that's a challenge on a Volvo. I have found.
Yeah, they wear a lot on the inside.
Yeah.
The Volvo lights,
like lamp burning, or
it is. It's a lamp burn, and you can see the dust particles. You see the dust particles of the plastic that's burnt off and stuff.
And there's always like that one moth that found its way inside that headlamp.
Yeah,
just one.
Just
hanging out like a hair in a biscuit. He's just, he tried to get out, but he couldn't.
Like a hair in a biscuit, huh?
Hanging out like a hair in a biscuit. Have you ever heard that?
No, first time.
Oh, man. It's a Tennessee thing, man.
It's a Tennessee thing. Did you bring it up from Florida or did you learn it there?
I think I learned it here. I can't say I'm from Florida anymore. I'm a true Tennessean now, I think.
Yeah.
I go back home and they'll talk about my accent. I don't think I have one, but whatever.
I don't know. I haven't had an accident in years.
Yeah, you'll just wait until winter hits and you're down here. You'll probably go back with a little twang.
I blend right in. in.
Yeah.
I have no problem with it. I just
you'll call Kevin from Tennessee and he'll be like, "Who's this?" Man, it's Joe. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, it does. Well, I talked to my neighbor next door, Rodney next door. Oh man, he's from Georgia, and he's from the bayous in Georgia, and he's got that slow Southern drawl.
Yeah. Did your neighbor in Connecticut?
No, in Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Wayne, real great guy. He has got a slow drawl, man.
Yeah. Some of it's thick. Yeah, you have to pay attention or else you're gonna miss it all.
Yeah. And it was really bad too because he needed hearing aids and he couldn't hear himself talk. And I don't know, it's kind of a weird thing, but I didn't know when you can't hear yourself talk that, I don't know, things were coming out funny and you couldn't always understand them sometimes. And I was like, yeah, I don't, great guy. And then when he got and then when he got his hearing aids in, boom, he got value. I could understand what he was saying. I got value from the conversation. Now his conversation came back. I said, "Hey, you come back alive."
You need to get out of the heat. You need to get out of this heat, Joe.
Yeah, the heat's brutal. We've been creating a lot of value in the heat. We've been restoring a lot of interiors.
I hear you.
Lots of exteriors.
Yeah, I hear you.
We made actually the owner of the Harley Davidson said that the bike had a completely different look and feel all about it. He sent an email to me.
Awesome.
Yeah, I actually two-staged the bike and put a ceramic coating on it.
Yeah.
And then we laid polymer on top of that.
Nice.
And then we had it drink C2V3.
Wow.
And we blasted it. It's really great like that. And then we blasted it through with the air gun.
Nice.
The Commodore air gun. Because it'll get in and then it'll catch on to that stuff. And so the crevices, because I did a crevice clean. I did a real high end. I did one of those go around one direction and do it on 3 different levels, cleaning from bottom up, top down. and then I went back around the other direction, and then I went in on angles.
Right.
And I did that bike over a period of 5 days.
Whew.
And because I kept going back into it with fresh eyes.
Yeah.
Because your eyes will get stale. So
Man,
I don't work too long. And I fine-picked it right down to the screw.
Nice.
And so we created a lot of value there.
Yeah.
A lot of value. Because my client that owns that bike, he doesn't say a lot, but he sat down and he smiled for 15 minutes.
That's what it's all about, isn't it? And listen, and that never gets old.
No,
that never gets old when you get that kind of response from somebody.
I still remember the look on Don's face. Don doesn't say a lot, and I left it with the bags off and the covers off because I wanted to see all the work I did around the electrical housing.
Yeah.
Because I carefully cleaned all that. It gets so packed.
Yeah.
So I thought it'd be a good idea to clean all that out of there real good because that dust holds heat as well.
Right.
Create some value. We just wanted to do this bike right.
Yeah.
And it had them fancy. I mean, I spent 2 hours just on the rear wheel.
Whew.
Because there's no easy way to get in there. And you had to clean it with steel wool. And I did 2 hours, though, in 4 different settings.
Yeah.
I didn't sit there for 2 hours to do one wheel.
Yeah, you have
and that's
to.
why I come back and I come and go and I just mark everything with tape. I got green little pieces of tape all over the place. And I just mark it.
Yeah.
And we did it, and it's funny. I'll admit, I overperformed on that bike because we don't do a lot of bikes here, and I love to do bikes. But when we do bikes, and we get into doing them, I just really get a Jones because it starts turning into furniture.
Yeah.
And it just looks so cool. So from any angle you look at this bike, it was reflecting the ground up.
Yeah.
On a motorcycle.
Love it.
And so we did it like that. And we gave it all this protection because I did ceramic coating when you start getting around the instrument panels and stuff in it. And the wind, they're not getting the beating.
Yeah.
We use polymer inside of there.
Yeah.
Because you've got all the instruments and it's real tight. And that works just fine.
No, that's a good idea. That's a good way to call it.
And we make sure we don't worry about that kind of stuff. So there's certain little areas where to do a ceramic coating is really cumbersome and tedious.
Very much so.
It's not necessary because there's no damage the wind's going like this and you're looking
right.
And then we stack it with the C2 V3. Nothing's going to stick to that.
Right.
And so we created a lot of value there. So yeah, if you can get somebody to sit there and look at their stuff for a few minutes in a chair and smile.
Yep. You did your job.
You did your job. That's the reward. That's actually better than the money.
I love it, man.
A professional.
And like I said, it never gets old to me. Ever, ever. It's a motivator.
Yeah, it never.
It's
really
like, what else can I learn next? How much better can I do next time? It keeps me going.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, I remember the first time that happened to me. That was back in the early 90s.
It was a Volvo. It had to be a Volvo.
It was actually a Corvair.
Oh, okay.
It was a 60-something Corvair.
Yeah.
Ragtop. And they wanted the car to look like new again. And it had been sitting in the barn. So it did look like the barn find.
Yeah.
And my job was I got paid to, was one of them. I went and found the upholsterer. I went, took it out, dropped it off, had the top put on.
Oh, wow.
I did all that. I did the legwork of any upholstery work that had to be done on the car. So I did that legwork, and then I did all the detail work. And it was where I did some actual painting on the car. It had some of the chrome trim, and it had flat black painted in. And some of that was chipped away, and I had actually cleaned that out, and I'd repainted it here in the shop.
Dang.
And did just a top shelf detail on it back in the day. And I remember that Nick came in and he walked in the shop and he looked, and I just saw the guy's face light up. I saw tears in his eyes. His wife was with him. And he said, "Do you have a chair?" He says, "I just want to look at it."
I just want to sit down and stare.
And he did. He sat down and we had a conversation for like a half an hour or more. And we just sat there and had a drink and looked at his car and talked about it. It was one of those end of the day, picked it up, and that's for a detailer, there's value.
Yep.
The client, I mean, we created a lot of value for the client, but then the client turned around and created a lot, actually an enormous amount of value for a detailer, because that is a bigger compliment than getting the money.
Yeah, it is.
And so for everyone that's ever done that in my shop and all this stuff, I thank you. Thank you. It's kept me going for 32 years.
That's it.
That's why forever you will shine.
Forever you will shine indeed.
That's what that's all about. It's right back to the client. So yeah, and I have my old detailer shoulder days and knee days and hip days. I still remember why I'm going out there, why I'm doing it. We get the job done every day the way you want it, because we want to create value for you, because we're doing it with purpose. Yeah. And we're doing it for you. And I like doing it. I love doing that.
Yeah. I love it, man.
And that's
as long as I can.
That's how you plow through. So if there's any newer or younger detailers or mid-streamers, that's kind of how you do the 32 years if you're going to go that long.
Yeah.
You know?
Keep going, keep learning, keep making people happy.
I like the business. I like what it has to offer. There's lots of value there. And the lifestyle that I've been able to provide for myself and my family. That's what it's all about. That's the value.
Yes, it is.
So for those that have said, how do you go out there? How do you keep doing this? How do you do that? I love what I do, and I love my life.
Yeah. If you love what you do, you won't go to work every day.
Nope. So.
Love it.
So that's life. That's the end of it. Wherever you will shine.
Wherever you will shine.
So any questions about your cars, just stop into any one of our shops, and we'll show you where you can create value. Tell us what your concerns are, your problems are.
Yeah.
Or you're selling a car, go find a professional detailer. You're going to open up your market immensely. There's actually a post somebody did. They had a lot of scratches. They had a lease return, and it wasn't a lot of money, and the car hadn't been cared for. We took care of that Buick, fixed the scratches. They were going to get whacked because what was there was like painting panels. We buried them with the color fill.
Yeah.
We sanded off the scratches, and it was a Buick Enclave. I think it was the Enclave.
Yeah, they'll get you on those lease turn-ins, man. I see it a lot.
And we fixed the scratches, and actually it was after because I was like, wow, they were here like a month and a half ago. Well, they just turned in the lease, and they didn't get dinged.
Yeah.
We kept them from getting dinged on the lease.
Yep.
And that one is because it fit. It doesn't mean that it's always going to fit depending what you're fixing on it. But if you got to turn in that lease and you have some issues and you need some help, or you're selling that car, or your wife wants a new car, you're going to save tens of thousands of dollars. Go see a professional detailer and create some value for yourself, will you?
Yeah. Yeah.
So with that, good night. Forever you will shine.
Good night, guys. Thanks again.
Hey, thanks, Kevin. Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you.
Be well. Good night.
You too.